What's going on, people? Welcome back to the opposition preview as we face Burnley on the weekend, and I'm joined by Joe from Turfcast. As usual, make sure to check out their channel. The link will be in the description down below, and let us know your thoughts ahead of the game. Like, subscribe, and all the usual bits and bobs. Joe. It's been a while, man. It's been a while. We're just doing a little reminiscing about the times you had Dyche, we had Hodgson, and funny enough, we still have Hodgson now that you come back to the Premier League. But Burnley got promoted under Vincent Kompany, exciting football in the Championship. Just going into the season and how things are planned out, what have you made of it so far, coming back to the Premier League? Have you been a bit disappointed, maybe expected a bit more, or are you just enjoying life at the top flight again?
No, I'm disappointed with it. Like, obviously, we're not like Luton. The first time I've been in the top flight since the 80s or whatever it was for Luton. Out of the last 10 seasons, I think we've spent 8 of them in the top flight. So, it's not like we're one of them teams who's just happy to be here, and we want to progress. We want to survive. We want to even push on. I made some predictions earlier in the season, and I said Burnley between like 10th and 14th. I think that's way short now. But we came into the season with so much expectancy and high hopes more than anything because of how good we were last season. We didn't just rag ourselves into the playoffs and then scrape up. We dominated the league. There were talk of us breaking the points record for the majority of the season. And that's despite having a slow start. So we came into this Premier League season with expectations that we would be clear of danger. So far, we've been abysmal. We've been absolutely abysmal. We've won 1 game all season, drawn 1, lost 8. And we're playing you guys at home. We've lost every single match at home. It's been tough start to life in the Premier League. To be honest with you, and it's left me reminiscing for the Championship again. But it might not be that long if we carry on playing like this.
Yeah, but isn't it not early days still? I know, of course, 10 games, it gives you a good indicator of where you might be at this current moment of time. But with Kompany, he's adapting to the Premier League as well. As a manager, is very good in Championship. Don't you think maybe after 5 or 6 games more that you might start taking, or are you just kind of getting more and more worried by the game and you're losing the faith?
Yeah. Until we play Bournemouth at the week, the last 2 games have been Brentford and Bournemouth. All right, Brentford are now in 10th, but before we played Brentford, they hadn't, they've only won 1 game all season. They were bang out of form. They've won 2 in a row now because they went to Stamford Bridge and beat Chelsea. So that looks better for them. But at the time, they were looking over the shoulders and they absolutely dominated us. We were so bad in that game. Then we're like, all right, well, they've got good players, finished mid-table last season. Maybe Bournemouth, we'll do better against Bournemouth. And again, we were just dreadful. We're just getting worse, and we're making the same mistakes every single. If you could see the lads getting better every game and learning from the mistakes, and Kompany as well, Kompany's making a lot of mistakes, and seeing Vincent learn from his mistakes, you'd think there's progression there. We'll get better. But at the minute, Vincent's making the same mistakes, the lads are making the same mistakes, and we're conceding the same goals. We conceded 5 goals in the last 2 games, 3 at Brentford, 2 against Bournemouth. 3 of them were exactly the same. The fullback having the ball, not the fullback in the Brentford game, but somebody having the ball in the middle of the park, taking too long, struggling to beat the press, struggling to get past the lines, panicking, losing possession, conceding. We did it both goals against Bournemouth, and the first goal I think it was against Brentford. So if you boys have got a good press, then you might get some joy against us. But it is early days, and I do still look at Everton, who I think will be all right. If they can keep Dominic Calvert-Lewin fit for the rest of the season, I think they'll be all right. And same with Branthwaite at the back as well, and Tarkowski. However, they have played a lot of poor teams, and they should be a lot higher up in the table than what they are. They lost to Luton at home, lost to Wolves at home, lost to Fulham at home. So they should be higher up. I'm looking at Forest as well because they're not pulling away, so they could get dragged into it. All right, Fulham had a good result at the weekend, and they've got some good players in like Willian and Paulinho, but they might get dragged into it. But yeah, it is early days. And look, we started last season pretty poorly. I think it took about 8 to 10 to 12 games for us to actually click into gear last season. But the Premier League's relentless. There's not as many games, so you don't get as long to work things out. Mistakes are punished a lot harder. We need to start improving if we're going to see any signs of us pulling away from it, and we need to start improving fast.
So with Kompany, do you think he's under pressure now? Is there that sense around Burnley, or do you think that he will survive let's say, the next 10 games or so, regardless of results. What's the feeling towards Company? For example, we saw it last year under Forest with Steve Cooper. He was under pressure, but the fans really liked him. And at the end of the day, they didn't end up sacking him and they managed to stay up. But with Burnley fans and Company, is there that sense that they would be okay with him leaving if it meant that Burnley have a great chance of staying up with a more experienced manager? Or do you want to go all the way with him?
Personally, I want to go all the way with him. Unless, say, for example, we lost every single game, 3-4, 5-0, and, we're cruising towards Derby's points record, then, get rid of him. But that's not going to happen. We have been pretty poor, but we are here because of him. We have this certain style of play because of him. We have a lot of players who, in their interviews, say stuff like, I couldn't reject the opportunity to work with Vincent Kompany. It's an interesting debate at the minute, though, because he's not under pressure at all. I'll put that out there first straight away. But there's a couple of fans recently that have tweeted, "Get rid of him. We can't keep doing this." But that's just every fan base has got them. That's just the fickle ones, the reactionary ones. The majority of if we went down, I'd stick by him personally because we did it with Dyche and he came back stronger and the club came back stronger, and I think we'd do it again. And we've tried to do things differently. Like we've now played different brand of football. We play possession-based football, attacking, free-flowing football, pressing football. And a lot of the players we have are built for that. If we got rid of Kompany, for example, and I don't know, brought in, just to pick a random name out of the hat, Chris Wilder, that just wouldn't work. We just don't have the players to suit the Chris Wilder team. So it'd be daft. We spent a lot of money in the summer, a lot of money. It was over £100 million. And for Burnley, that is unheard of. So to give a manager £100 million and then sack him after 20 games would just be suicidal, and it'd be a ridiculous decision. So for me, keep him. If we go down, keep him again. Give him the tools that he needs, because last season he brought in some absolutely fantastic players. This season we're yet to see the best from a lot of the summer signings, but I'd definitely trust him again. 100%, I'd trust him again in the summer if we went down.
Yeah, and there is that element that even if you bring in another manager, it doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to stay up. So you could end up going down, and then maybe if that new manager ends up leaving, then you're going to be stuck on crossroads, and you're not going to know what to do, who to select. So Kompany, who done it in Championship, he 100% can do it in that league. He's proven it there. So if the worst case scenario was to happen, then he will be able to navigate you back up to the Premier League. You would hope so, but it's still early days as well, Joe. Look, I understand where you're coming from as a fan, but look, with loads of teams in the past, I mean, Forest last year, they struggled a lot as well. As I said, there was mentions about Steve Cooper getting sacked, and afterwards the match to stay up. Like, it's a long season. You have to start somewhere. You have to start picking up points, even if it's draws. Lost, I don't know, dodgy winners. Like, it will naturally come, I think, along the way. But looking at this game with Palace, what have we made of Palace so far this season? I know we've got Hodgson back, and we ain't talking about, I don't know, 2018, 2019 previews. It's 2023, but Hodgson back at Palace. But what have we made of it as a Burnley fan?
Yeah, well, Palace are just one of them teams that you just know what you're going to get with them. From the outside looking in anyway, you boys might think differently, but you know they're going to finish mid-table. You know they might, in some seasons, flirt a little bit with the drop, and everyone's like, oh, and then you're never anywhere near it. And you've always seemed to got some absolute ballers. I don't know where you get them from. Like, Zaha leaves, everyone's like, oh, they'll be in trouble. And then next thing you know, I know Eze was already there, but next thing you know, you've got all these players like Eze and stuff that are just class. And then they'll go on. And obviously going back as far as Wan-Bissaka, you did it. You've been doing it for years. So I rate Palace. I rate Hodgson as well. I think he's a pragmatic manager who plays in a pragmatic style and sometimes doesn't get the credit he deserves, similar to our former manager Dyche, of course. But yeah, I like Palace and I like the way they play. I like Hodgson, but I'm just hoping, because we used to have some good battles back in the day at Burnley and Palace. A lot of 3-2s, a lot of last-minute winners, a lot of comebacks. I'm hoping it's a little bit more, one way this week, because I don't think I can handle a Palace. If we go 2-0 up and you come and win it, like you did so many times, it felt like back in the day, then I think the fan base would literally self-destruct. So if we could just have a nice, calm 2-0 win, please.
Yeah, for Palace, yeah. Calm 2-0, 100%. So when you look at Hodgson Ball versus Kompany Ball, like, does that suit you? Us being a bit more, less risky approach, sitting back, trying to hit you on the counter. Or do you struggle to break sides that play mid or low block?
We struggle to break anyone down at the minute, to be honest with you, mate. So it'll be interesting because I know you just said off camera you are quite strong defensively, so we will struggle. But if you are just sitting back and letting us have the ball, then we saw a lot of teams do that in the Championship last season. Obviously, wouldn't have as good a defense as you boys, but a lot of teams tried to do that in the Championship last season. Just basically sit back and say, right, come at us, and we just pick them off and win 3-4-0. Yes, Palace will be a harder nut to crack. I'm not saying they won't, but if you just let us have the ball, and I'm hoping that will give us a bit of confidence to be on the ball and then build a bit of momentum. Where we've come unstuck this season is teams that press us. Like I said, earlier I mentioned the goals that we've conceded against Bournemouth and Brentford. Both of the goals against Bournemouth, like I said, came from losing the ball in a press. The first goal against Brentford came from losing the ball in a press. My worry with Palace is you are incredibly fast. You've always been fast. You've always got fast players. So if you hit us on a counter, we could struggle with that, with how exposed our midfield gets. There's a lot of holes in our team at the minute. The midfield just seems to be missing in action every single week. So if you do play counter-attacking football and the midfield continues to do that, you'll get a lot of joy and you'll find a lot of space. But hopefully, you'll just sit back and we'll be able to pick you off. But genuinely, like, you've got good players and fast players. So if you're sitting back and then counter-attacking us, then I do worry that the midfield will get exposed a little bit.
Yeah, it depends on who's back, to be fair, with Palace, because we haven't had, Eze's been out injured over the last few weeks, so he hasn't been featured in games. We don't know if he'll be back for the Burnley game. Elise hasn't played a single minute. He might be back. There's talks and murmurs about that, potentially for this game as well. So if those players are back, I think the counter-attacking football suits us in a way. And even in the last game against Spurs, I mean, we sat back, especially the first half, but Tottenham have been fantastic this season. They didn't have a shot on target. The way they scored was an own goal from Palace, and then afterwards, that's when our downfall starts. So this season, I'll be honest, with Palace, we've been very good defensively. It's our attack that's been struggling. So it'll be interesting to see how we try to hurt you, because your defense, as you said, there are some vulnerabilities there. But talking about some players, I know you've not had a greatest start to the season, but have there been any players that's been performing to above levels compared to the other players that we should be watching out for?
Yeah, there's a few. Obviously, Lyle Foster's probably the standout star at the minute. He's scored a few goals so far this season, and to say we've only scored 8, and he's got the majority of them. He's an interesting one. He's a South African striker. We bought him last year in January when we were practically already up. Obviously, we just needed to get over the line, and he came in and he did look a little bit lost. Just like some of the summer signings have done this year. And he did look a little bit lost at first, but now he's got used to the system. He's got used to the style of play and what's expected of him. Then he is starting to look good. Like, he went clean through against Luton in the first half, and there's just something about the confidence that I had in him that I just knew he was scoring. And I didn't have that in him last season. I had that in Nathan Teller last season, and unfortunately left, and we couldn't make a permanent signing. Another one will be Luca Cogliosho. He is a young Italian American winger. We signed him, I think it was from Espanyol B in the summer. Proper raw talent. I think he's 18, 19, really, really raw. He's so fast and he will beat a man. I know it's not difficult, but he had Diego Dalot on toast, absolutely on toast when we played Manchester United. Again, I could probably have him on toast if I'm being honest with you. United are at the minute. But he's so fast and rapid, and he's got some tricks on him as well. He just struggles with his end product. He just needs his end product to be better. And yeah, that's probably pretty much it. There's a lot of summer signings that have come in and not really had chance to shine yet. Mike Trezor, who was a Belgian Pro Player of the Year last year. Correct. Well, he's been poor. He's been poor, to be honest with you, so far, mate. Obviously, we're recording this on Wednesday. Burnley are actually playing tonight against Everton. I'm hoping he gets a run out and we can see it, because he's been playing out of position. A lot of people have been playing out of position. I think that's part of the reason why we've got off to such a poor start. Vincent's trying a lot of different things for some random reason, like square pegs in round holes. But I'm still hopeful Trezor can come good. Then after that, a lot of the players haven't really been performing, if I'm being honest with you.
So let's talk about score predictions. This is where it gets exciting. We're talking about Burnley struggling, all this pressure, Palace low block. You might suit Burnley, or your defense might, being shaky might help us as well. But how do you see this game going? Because as a Burnley fan playing at home against Palace side, which we don't know yet if Eze and Elise is going to be back, and I think that will play a significant part to it. But Do you think, you could get a result against Hodgson Hall, seeing Vincent Kompany at the Rain?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. The confidence has been proper knocked out of me after that Bournemouth match. Like I did a pre-game show with a Villa fan. I said, no, we'll do well against you. We'll draw. We got absolutely spanked. Same against Tottenham. We're at home, so we'll draw. Spanked. Went down to Brentford. I'm like, no, I'm going down. I'm taking my 5-year-old. I'm well excited. We're going to win this. Spanked. Bournemouth will draw. Spanked. So the confidence has been properly knocked out of me. But Palace are out of form is harsh, but not probably doing as well as you'd want to. You said off camera yourself a little bit ago, you think you're there for the taking. You probably would be there for the taking if you played a good side, but obviously lost your last 2. We've lost our last 3. Both teams only have 1 win out of the last 5. Yours was quite a good one, admittedly, at Manchester United. Ours was down at Luton, and we've lost every other match. I'm hoping we can just get a point. Obviously, I want 3 points, but I'm hoping we can just get a point, stop this rot, and then just kick on a little bit. But I'm going to go 1-1. But obviously, it's one of the games that you're looking at. It's any team that you're playing outside the top 6 and probably the next 2, which are your Newcastles and your Villas. You've got to be looking to try and win at home. And obviously, Palace are one of them sides. I just don't think we have enough in us at the minute in terms of quality and in terms of people understanding the system and the job that they have to do. So hopefully we get a point. I mean, hopefully we win, obviously, but a draw against a solid Palace side, 2 sides that are a little bit low on confidence and haven't been, scoring a great deal amount of goals because we've both only scored 8. But obviously the difference is we've conceded 25, you've conceded 13. So I'll predict 1-1 for this one, mate.
1-0. I'm going to go for... I think this game is significant for Palace as well. I was just saying, you're looking at Palace thinking it's a good opportunity to maybe pick up points against them. And we're looking the same. We're looking at Burnley thinking it's a good opportunity to maybe try and get...
These are dreadful.
Yeah. It's a good opportunity to maybe get 3 points against a struggling side if we hit them and if we press them. But of course, it won't be easy because of the style of football they play. But Palace, if you want to be serious this season, we have to be trying to pick up more results. So I'm going to go for like a 1-0 Palace. Defensively, we've been solid so far this season, but yeah, look, it could go either way. It depends on what Palace side turn up. It depends on the players who's starting, who's free from injury, who's injured again, because it changes by the day, by the hour of Palace. So yeah, I'm going to go for 1-0. Joe's going for 1-0. Let us know in the comment section down below what you're going for. As always, like, subscribe. Make sure to check out the Turfcast platforms as well, where I'll be on there giving my preview. And until next time, up the